Hi there, it's Olamigoke Philip here. So in this video, I'll be showing us how to put to use environment variables in Django, both locally as well as when our project gets deployed and moved to production. So before we go into actually showing you how that works, like coding things up, I would like to spend few minutes or like few seconds or moments talking about environment variables. So what is an environment variable? An environment variable is a dynamic named value defined outside a program, outside of a program which we're creating. So this value is stored in a unique location within the file system, accessible through functionalities built into the operating system. So what this basically means is that this dynamic named value is stored outside the block of code, like the file containing the program that you're building. It's stored outside, and your program reaches out to this environment variable via the functionalities that the operating system wherein your program is being run offers. So it's actually a very useful tool in providing security to our application. I will go further into advantages of environment variables in a bit, but I want to talk about the structure. It consists of a name value pair, just like the way you're seeing it here, variable to value, like you're defining a variable and you're assigning a value to it. So that is exactly how it works. It's a name value pair. So of what use is environment variables in our application? So I highlighted three here. We have easier configuration. So easier configuration, it's in a sense that instead of hard coding values into our code base, these are values that are referenced multiple times across our application. Like instead of hard coding them into our code base, we could easily define them as an environment variable that can be accessed anywhere in our application. As also, environment variables offer an extra layer of security for our application, in a sense that storing passwords directly in our application's configuration files, like in our code, in our project or application code base, is never a good idea. So instead, we could reference an environment variable. Like this helps prevent exposure of sensitive information in our version control system, such like Git. Like for example, some of us are pushing our project to our Git or Bitbucket repositories, and sensitive information are being pushed along, which is not supposed to be. So if such is for public consumption. So fewer production error is also an advantage of environment variable, such that it helps separate sensitive information from the code base. So these environment variables that are pertaining to local development can be as well different from those environment variables that are pertaining to the ones that will be put to use in production. So before diving into coding, in this video we will be building a very light application. Basically, it's the default application that the default landing page that comes with Django. In this app, I'm trying to keep it as as slim as it can be, so we're not building anything sophisticated. It's just the basic Django templates that renders when it's been launched initially, and I will just be showing you how this works in how to put the environment variable to use both locally as well as when our app goes to production, which I'll be showing you how it works in Heroku. I will talk a bit about how it works in AWS, Elastic Beanstalk, but we're not going into that in this video. So I'll just be showing us how it works locally as well as on Heroku. So I'll be bringing up my terminal. Then this application, I prefer to have it in my desktop environment. So in my desktop, let's make a directory. Let's call it an environment variable. So I think that works. Let's move to environment variable and let's create our Django application. But before I create the Django application, I would prefer to wrap these application in a virtual environment or have it in a virtual environment, because I don't want these applications dependency to affect the overall dependencies of other applications on my system. So I will be creating the virtual environment using the pip env. Like for anyone who wants to use the virtual environment command to create their own virtual environment, it works as well, like it's fine. But I prefer to use pip env, which if you want to install, you can install it with pip install pip env. So you can have it installed. After running this command, you can pip env shell. You can have that. So it creates a virtual environment and launches it for you, like automatically. So if you're still having doubts regarding the pip env or it's not clear, I'm going to drop a link in the description below that you can follow up and how to read up on pip env and how it works. So I'm inside of my virtual environment. So in my virtual environment, instead of pip install, which we will do normally, like when we're using our normal virtual environment, in the virtual environment here, like sponsored by pip env, installing a module or a library will come with pip env install. So now that I want to install Django, to be pip env install Django. So that will be Django 2.2. I think that is the latest we have now. So just to show you what happens, because you can see it says pip file.log not found, and let me open that here so that we can see what happens. Okay, so it creates a pip file.log and it shows us what is happening. So it's I see this method as a more compact and solid way to keep our application dependency in check and getting their versioning correct. So if you are also like, it's okay to use the virtual environment at env. This is just by the way. So let's go into creating our Django application. So we can use the Django admin command here, Django admin, and let's start project. Let's call it envr. Let's call it the same name. So okay, we have that created. Let's cd into our envr folder and we can see our application right there. So let's check it out. So we can, this is our settings.py, and inside of our settings.py we can see various information. For example, we have our secret key here, of which the comment above it says that the secret key used in production should be kept secret. So, and sometimes I see some of us having our secret keys and database password exposed, like why we are pushing our project to you know version control systems like GitHub, and having these things explore our password, like email passwords and all of these things. So I will be showing us how to use environment variables locally as well as like I said, in production. So let's see our application here. Just to run this, before we run this, let's okay, we have our manage.py there. Let's migrate manage.py. Let's migrate. Okay, so we can run server. Okay, now, so if we're running the server, okay, we have okay, so we have our Django application installed and working successfully now. So what I'll be showing us now is how to take this secret key into our operating system, like turning it into an environment variable. So how that will work is we're going to have the secret key, okay, coming from the OS dot environment, which is environ here, and we have the secret key here. Okay, so this, we can do away with this, or we can just delete it. So when this happens, our application most likely has crashed, okay, because it says a key error, and this OS dot environment, we can't find the secret key here. So where does this OS dot environment, where does this location lies? Where is Python looking for this secret key from our OS environment? So where this is happening is you will have to go to, you will remember that when we were trying to create our virtual environment, it describes a location for where our virtual environment has been located. All right, so which it's the same as when you have when you create your virtual environment through the virtual environment command, not the ppnv command. So you go to your virtual environment command, which I have here because it shows it shows me where my virtual environment has been located under the locals, the .local folder, share, and virtual environment, of which if you are using the virtual environment env or vn, whatever name you call it, command, you specify the location where it's been you specify the location where your virtual environment is like stored, usually in the folder you're running that command. But with pipenv, it's locates it in, this is where it locates it on my own system. So I go into the env file, the environment variable folder, then I go to my bin, which obviously you have as well. This is then inside of my activate folder, this is where I store my environment variables inside of my activate folder. So I create my secret key, secret key. Then what is my secret key? Okay, let's secret key, do we have it? Let's just use this directly. Okay, the one given to us here. So let's go. Okay, so let's have it. Okay. All right. So we have our secret key defined here. Is that the way things? Okay. So this is our secret key here in this folder now. So what we need to do to make it a command when they activate, when our virtual environment is being activated, is to give an export command. So make sure what we're telling this script is that once this activate script has been run, export this secret key for, provide the resource whenever it's been asked. So we have to be wary of the space between them, because if there is space, it could lead to some error in between. So let's save this, and you can still see our application is still raising a key error down there. So what we need to do is to ensure that things are fine here. Okay, secret key.os environment, and okay, let's save that. By the time we run this, run server, it says key error. That is because we are still using the previous the virtual environment that was activated previously. So we have to exit out of that virtual environment, then launch it again. Okay, so now we can run our, okay, there's an error with, okay, cde and VRR, okay, yeah, there is, so yeah, you can see the key value error is gone now, and our application is running successfully again. So here it is, running successfully, perfectly. So it's the environment variable is not just down to secret keys alone. We could also store our third-party keys here. For example, let's say we have Flutterwave private key, or it could be anything. We can also have, let's say, paystack, let's say private key as well. Private key as well. It could be anything that we want it to be. So now these keys, we can just drop them in our configuration file. We have to bring them from, okay, let me just copy this to our OS dot environment, and let's bring our Flutterwave private key from there, and let's do the same for paystack as well. Paystack private key, let's bring it from our OS dot environment, and we'll bring it from here. So these values are still, let me copy this one. I'll take it to my, okay, just to show you, like, let's just show the key error there. Let's run the application again. You'll see it's most likely I've given a key error, since that like Flutterwave private key can't be found, something like that. So because it's missing from our activate folder, so let's have it here as well. Then let's export flutter with private key, define it here. Okay, fine. As well as paste tag private key. So let's export this as well. Export paste tag private key. And this folder works, it's the same as the activate folder you have in your virtual environment command that you run. This is not because of ppm. This has nothing to do with ppm directly. Like, it's an activate folder that you can source activate it. If you I don't mean you used the virtual environment command, which works as well. So saving this, now I can I'll have to exit. Now exit, create, then cd and vr. Okay, let me be sure of that. Then we can Python 3 manage.py run server. Okay. Okay, I'm very sorry, we are not activating the virtual environment. That is why that is happening. ppnv shell, which then okay, it's another cd and vr, and yeah, so and we have this working fine again. So brilliant. So you can see that our flutter wave and paste tag private key has been defined outside of our Django application, and it's been accessed via the functionalities that the operating system which your application is being run provides, like offers it. So that's why it's getting it from the os.environment. That's why it's sourcing it from that area. So now I will be moving this application to Heroku just to show you how it works. So we can close this just to show you how it works on Heroku. Like Heroku create, let's create our application. Okay, so it has created an application and it has assigned a Git repository. So let's copy that, and to make things easier, we are going to create we're going to initialize our Git here. So but before I go further, I would prefer to have this pip file and pip log file arranged here just for order. I wouldn't like to have it outside. So yeah, so it works. So like we have this, so let's initialize Git init. So Git's repository is when it's initialized, and for the link that was assigned here, sorry, copy that. You can see we can check the remote URL assigned to this Git. It's empty right now, so but we can add, of which we're going to add the header to it as well. Let's call this Heroku, and we had the link that is just been given to us to it. And when we check the Git remote again, you can see it's fetching, it can fetch and push rather to this Heroku link. So if you're still having problem with Heroku and Git, I will be creating a video subsequently regarding taking on these topics. So stay tuned to the channel. So to run on Heroku, I'm also going to drop a link in the description below to Heroku, and you can see the reasons why these things are going the way I'm going, because I'm trying to keep this video slim, because I'm just trying to show how it works, the environment variable, not the building of a Django application per se, or how Heroku works. So we're gonna have to create a proc file. Heroku needs that. Yeah, so proc file, and we also need a runtime.txt. Heroku needs that as well. So our proc file specifies or like tells the command that runs, the command that gets our application to run on Heroku, and why the runtime.txt contains the version of the Python we're using. I think Python 3.6.8, I think. Yeah. 3.6 should work. 0.8. So the proc file contains command specifying the kind of application we have, which is a web application. Then we need to pip env install Unicorn. Unicorn is what helps get what helps get our application to run properly, like calling the web server gateway interface in Django. So you can check installed packages in pipenv using pipenv graph. So it will show you the packages installed and if they are dependent on any. So we have Django installed and Unicorn. So pipenv is actually a very useful tool. So we have Unicorn here. We'll call Unicorn and tell Unicorn to go to run our envar app and to call our web server gateway, which is this. Then we tell it to go inside of this folder, so that vsgi. So we save that. Then we go into so we just read our git remote. We can see we can fetch and push from the git repository link that was given to us by Heroku. So we can git add the changes we've made. We can git commit. Let's flag that and let's call it, and let's commit as well. I mean, it's just simple commit. Okay. Then so let's git push to Heroku master. Okay. Oh yeah, like our application has no static files right now, so we can do that. We can just copy this command that tells us to disable collect static. So let's run that so we can get push again properly. So that shouldn't take long. It's a light application. Okay, compressing, then we're almost there. So you can see it's the proc file that declares this the type of this application web. So it's launching our application now. Okay, it's been deployed to Heroku. So we can copy this link and let's go, which we would be having error. Because definitely we're having an error. So this one is, they have, what we're trying to do is to get this particular template that is rendered here rendered in this link as well. So it says application error. Let's copy this to see what is happening there. You can just check that with Heroku to check your logs. So we must be seeing a key error, just like what we're seeing on a Alright, you can see it's a secret key error here. It couldn't find it. So how to correct that? We have to go into Heroku and check our application to sort that out. So here's our application here, and let's head to settings, and we can see in our config var variables here, this is exact same environment that our variables has been stored. The environment variables have been stored. So the same thing we had here, we just repeat it here as well. So Heroku automatically exports the environment variables on okay, we have that. So you can have that, then our flutter with private key and the value. So in situations like this, you could have testing keys and the local environment, perhaps the actual keys in the production. Obviously that's what it should be. So adding this now, you would notice that I don't need to push again to get the app running. We should have it up and running now, and we have an error. Okay. This is coming from the settings.py. Okay, that is an error. We have to allow the Okay, we have to allow this link to access our application. So just to allow any, we could do this, but let's just, and this will require us to like push again. Obviously, when you're deploying your application, the bug should be set to false. Okay, so but this is just like a tutorial, so you can always work that out. So this we have is push our project again. Otherwise, we wouldn't have needed to push to change. So let's add commit allowed host change. Okay, let's push Heroku master. So it pushes our application again. Okay, you can see pip file.log hasn't changed since last deployment, so you don't. And you can see the proc file that we created as well. So if any one of us is having problem regarding understanding how the workflow in Heroku is structured, I'm also going to drop a link in the description below just so that we can see that. So okay, so we wouldn't have this error again now, and boom, we have it. So the same is being rendered. So I hope you like and enjoy these tutorials, and subsequently I'll be creating more technical, sophisticated, and as well as crash courses of various frameworks like Django, just like Django, Flask, Node.js, etc. So stay tuned to the channel. If you feel like this provided value to you, you can like this video and subscribe. Thank you.